says what?
I want to play a game.
I see dead people.
I'm running this monkey farm now, Frankenstein!
We are the weirdos, mister.
Welcome to the Horror Speaks podcast.
Welcome, you weirdos. Happy New Year. We're here with another episode of the Horror Speaks podcast.
It's about goddamn time, honestly.
Yeah.
We have your host, starting with me, the Whitney.
And me, Michael.
And Sidney.
And I'm a quarter of your host, Jason.
And we're going to discuss our 2024 recap of some movies that we've seen collectively. And we are going to just go into some depth of some stuff.
Yeah.
This year has been kind of a long haul of horror movies, and I'm excited to get into this and explain our favorites and some of our least favorites.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, brother.
So I'm going to say this whole episode is just yeah.
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 It's actually a new year.
Yeah, 2025. Super excited for what's to come in the horror community, and I think that there's going to be a lot of good movies coming out, and 2024 was just crazy year for so many great movies, and I'm just excited to talk about our favorites.
Some would say 2024 was immaculate.
Huh.
That's a joke on a 2024 movie.
Huh.
Get it?
So I think the first
We're keeping that one in.
Oh my god. I think the first movie we can talk about that was really a good one on the list would be Immaculate. It was a pretty good movie, a 2024 psychological horror. It was directed by Michael Mohan. I think I'm saying that correctly. It featured Sidney Sweeney
Can we talk about Sidney Sweeney in that movie, though?
Oh my god.
Let's talk about her in everything she's ever been in.
She's a true...
All I'm going to say is boobs.
Boobs.
Let's
Boobs.
talk about Sidney Sweeney's boobs.
She's a true scream queen.
Yeah, she played as Sister Cecilia. She was a young novice nun who joined a secluded Italian coven. Upon her arrival, Cecilia becomes entangled in the coven's dark secrets, leading to a series of unsettling events. The film since then has praised for its atmospheric tension and Sweeney's compelling performance. Through some critic notes that it doesn't fully capture the flair of classic Italian horror. It first premiered at South by Southwest on March 12th on 2024 and was released theatrically in the United States by Neon on March 22nd, 2024. It's available currently for streaming on Hulu, and I believe it might be on Amazon Prime.
Everything's on Amazon Prime.
I feel like that's where we originally seen it. I mean, this movie was really, really good. I liked seeing Sidney Sweeney's... It's crazy seeing her go from, what was it, Euphoria, seeing her go in Euphoria to like a total horror flick. So
I think she definitely stepped into the genre pretty well, though.
Yeah, and just like much more innocent than we've seen her. Like she's a nun in this one versus,
Not a nun.
a rowdy teenager. Yeah.
yeah, it was completely different seeing her play a role that, you're not expecting her, you're kind of expecting to see how she played in Euphoria or what's some other films that she was in.
She was in that rom-com Anyone But You, which I haven't seen.
That one was good. I saw that one. Not horror related, but it was also really, really good rom-com. It wasn't like one of those rom-coms where you're like, boo-hooing and stuff. So, but it was really good. It was a good movie. So it was cool seeing her play in this film. The cinematography in that movie was it was dark and dreary, and it just set the whole scene for what's to come in that movie. And
She was also in The Voyeurs.
Oh yeah, that movie was really good.
Sexy movie.
Oh my
I
god.
love some sexy movies.
You and your dirty movies.
Well,
Yeah.
I loved her. This is the first movie with her that I've seen, actually. And before that, I really didn't even know who she was. I hadn't seen Euphoria or Voyeurs or anything like that.
Did you see Madame Web?
No.
Madam Web.
Madam
She's
Web.
in that one.
Yeah, she's in that one too.
No, I heard that sucked. I stayed away from it.
Me too.
But so it was interesting I know this movie ran a lot of parallels with the First Omen, and I personally feel this is like the superior film. But
Yeah, a lot of people said it was either one of the two.
yeah,
Yeah,
I preferred this.
I
one.
picked,
like
yeah,
Immaculate
I
more.
picked that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just went, from her being this, like you said, very reserved nun, and just completely escalated, or not escalated, but spiraled into just insanity with her. And that, that last, if no other scene in this movie convinced you just how strong an actress she is, watch the last 10 minutes.
No, yeah, she's definitely going to be great. I actually like her more in this genre than I do anything else, really. And she's only been in one movie.
Agreed.
One horror movie.
And I haven't seen her boobs yet, so.
Euphoria.
See a lot of boobs in that. Show.
Yeah, I think if you have a horror list and you need movies to watch, I feel like this would definitely be on a list to definitely check out. It was definitely a movie to really watch, and it was really good. I like the vibes. I like the acting. Sidney Sweeney played a really good role, and it's a really good one to watch.
I agree.
So next on the list, I think that we watched for 2024 would have to be, let's talk about
Sex,
let's see.
baby.
Oh my gosh. Smile 2.
Oh, Smile
I
2.
have to say that movie, I mean, we all four of us watched it together, and I loved every moment. The first Smile movie was really, really good. It set, the plot and everything, and then it kind of left us on a little cliffhanger, and then Smile 2 kind of gave us more of a in-depth feel for what the antagonist, is that the right word? Yeah, that's the right word. The antagonist of the movie, like it gave more of a feel with that. But a little summary on what Smile 2 is a sequel to Smile, it came out in 2022. The film stars Naomi Scott as Sky Riley. She's a global pop sensation who begins experiencing increasingly terrifying and inexplicable events just as she is about to embark on a new world tour. The film also features Rose Marie DeWitt, Lucas Gage, Miles Riley, Peter Jacobson, Ryan Nicholson, Dylan Glula, and Raul Castillo, with Kyle Gallner reprising his role from the first film.
I was about to say, we can't forget about Kyle.
That first scene in that movie, my jaw dropped.
Brutal.
Like,
Caught me off guard.
It was one take too, which was awesome.
Yeah. Knowing that it was just one take in that first scene, like that's incredible.
I love everything that Kyle is in. Also,
Yeah.
apparently he's the internet's crush right now.
Oh.
Yeah, he in every film, like The
He's a
Strange
looker,
Darling. What's some other stuff he played in? That Dinner in America movie was really good. I mean, anything that he's played in has been like phenomenal. But this movie was released on October 18th. The film received a lot of positive reviews. It grossed $138.1 million worldwide.
Wow.
It's available on Paramount Plus and other VOD services, and they even started discussing a sequel that could be starting to film in 2025, which I believe the way that the Smile 2 ended, I feel like there's definitely going to be a sequel.
Yeah, for sure.
I do kind of feel like it's going to be one of those things where it just goes and goes and goes. And we'll just have to see how many movies they do before it gets really tiring and I stop watching them.
Yeah. Smile 2 is definitely one of my top 3 for this year, I would have to say.
Well, this one, we love the first one.
Mm-hmm.
And, there's that one scene in particular in the first movie with the birthday party scene.
Oh, yeah.
That just had me floored. Just how just depraved and just off the chain that scene is. And this movie actually takes that ambience and pushes it farther for longer. Actually, most of the duration of the film, once she actually starts to, see these people smiling because she's been, cursed.
Yeah.
And this one really impressed me because it kept me intrigued and, I was on board the whole time. It was interesting. It was gory. It was, frightening. It was just, they really kind of had you thinking that this was just coming out of everywhere.
Well, it's not often that you see a sequel doing being better than the first one, and that was definitely one of those movies that was much better. I thought the
Definitely
second one
outdid
was
the first.
better
Yeah.
than the
Yeah,
first
the
one.
second one definitely went into a lot more detail on like the actual like creature thing, the demon, as you will. It went a lot more in depth in it. And I appreciated that because I wanted to, because you didn't really see a whole lot of the demon in the first Smile movie. So it was kind of like cool to see what it looked like. And then I just liked how it all came together, and it really did hit all the emotions. I mean, it wasn't really comedic. I wouldn't say this movie is comedic at all, but it definitely hit all the horror genre expectations that you would in a horror movie. And I feel like this movie was just, it kept me on my toes it was like a roller coaster.
The gore in it was pretty cool too. That
Oh, yeah,
that
the
very first scene with the
gore.
weight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the crash scene,
Yeah.
like
Wow.
that was, a little
It's intense.
spoiler
We hate to
alert.
see Kyle go out like that. But
Well, that and the, the creature at the end was great. The way they left the film was kind of a shocker because, I mean, he's got some balls to suggest what he suggested at the end is going to happen in the next film. So he's this guy is who writes it. I can't remember his name.
Well, I
Let's
liked-
see. It was Parker Finn.
Right, Parker Finn.
I liked the idea of like the demon going after a super famous person.
Oh yeah.
So she's already like always being looked at, always being watched, always being like held to this expectation. And so, just to see her spiral just like a normal person would.
Yeah, because it
Except
kind
the
of
whole world's
goes.
watching her.
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of like because she had trauma that she was dealing with. I mean, not every famous person's gonna have this perfect life. Like she had her girlfriend, I guess, in that, and trauma that didn't really go into detail exactly what was going on, but we could see like there was some tension going on with her and her girlfriend, and then the tension with her mom. Her mom, I just wanted to punch the entire time. Like her
Same.
mom didn't care about her. Her mom didn't care about her feelings or anything. Like I think her mom just cared about the money and making sure that
Momaging.
yeah, she was
That's
the
a word.
mom manager. But it just shows you, because like in real life, most of us are thinking that, okay, these famous people, they have money and they must not have issues. Like they must have a peachy life, because they have all this money to go through. But this movie really kind of made you think about like, okay, these famous people, they probably don't have a peachy life 24/7.
In some ways, worse.
Yeah,
Well,
like
and this isn't something that money could fix even if she wanted
No.
to. So
yeah.
Not only that, but I mean, they're under scrutiny 24/7 pretty much.
Yeah, and it's going through her deepest traumas. Like it's making her like basically not relive, but experience these things, because she also had a drug problem, and most of famous people that we know, like I'm sure they've all experienced a drug problem at some point in life, and like for her to like really experience that again when she's trying to be clean, it's like going through trauma all over again.
and I think her second biggest part of her trauma, not the drugs, but her girlfriend, which became the biggest twist of the movie.
Oh
was, she calls her girlfriend over and she's like, "Hey, come over," and she's like, "Oh, okay,
And
cool."
we're
yeah.
all thinking it's just her coming over, but
I had a hunch. I didn't want to say it. I had a hunch. I was like, this seems a little weird. Why does she just like want to come over and hang out after this big ordeal went down, I guess? And then they're just laying in bed and, she turns over, smiles. That was creepy. But then I was like, okay, maybe something's going on here. And then she walks in the door, right? And she's like, "Hey, babe," or whatever. And then at the end, we find out that that girl was actually not that girl. So I enjoyed the movie.
yeah, I definitely think that if you don't have this on your list, definitely have it on your watch list. And I would definitely recommend, if you haven't seen Smile, to watch that too, because it kind of goes hand in hand. Like I feel like you can watch Smile too and not have to watch the first one, but if you want to like it all to come together, then you need to watch them together in that order. So
Well, one thing to point out is Naomi Scott played, was it Jasmine in the live action Aladdin?
Oh.
And
she
then
can really sing, I think.
yeah, and
Oh,
then
yeah, that's
to see her
really
in this
cool.
movie, and I mean, I really felt for this person. She went from bad to absolutely horrible, you
Yeah,
know,
just
and
gone.
and just pulls you along the entire time. She's a really fantastic actress. She literally carried the film by herself.
Yeah,
So, I mean,
she was on, I would say, on screen at least 80% of the time, like by herself. It was mostly like her. Even when she's with other people, it's still her focus.
Yeah, you can definitely tell her emotion and that she really like played that role super, super well.
It was one of those movies where I like, watching it, I had a hard time thinking of like what was actually happening and what wasn't happening.
Yeah, I love that feeling though.
You know, like when she looks into the mirror and she sees herself, but then she looks away, and then it's just like her smiling at herself. It's like, but then you see those weird scenes where it's kind of very substancy, you know, where you see those things and you're like, is this really going on, or are we just seeing something
It was
that
a
might be
mindfuck.
going on?
I mean,
Yeah.
great
put in
film.
simple terms.
Very impressed with it.
Super, super good. 10 out of 10 off the bat.
10 out of 10 plastic thingies.
10 out of 10.
Now, what do we got
Bangs.
next?
All right. I think the next one that we really enjoyed collectively was VHS Beyond. That one was really good. It's the 7th movie in the franchise, so there's 7 VHSs. It's on a found footage horror anthology film, and the film comprises of 5 sci-fi themed segments. They were directed by different filmmakers. So we got Jay Cheel. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. Jordan Downey, Byrat Powell, Justin Martinez, Justin Long. I don't know, is that...
Yeah, it is. It's the Long brothers actually did that one.
Yeah.
That's super, super cool to know. And Kate Siegel. The segments are interconnected through frame narrative. So it's like the abduction, which explores mysterious videotapes purported, I don't even know what that word means, to contain evidence of alien life. So this one was really cool because like I love just VHS in general. Like all of the films were all different, but they were all so good.
Little fact, the first time me and Whitney stayed tonight together, the first movie we ever watched was VHS.
Yes, it was.
And I still don't like them that much.
I like them because they're all weird in their own way. Like it's stuff that it's just stuff that you would never think about. Like the weirdest and strangest, like gory, weird shit. Like, I don't know. It intrigues me. And I think this film in the franchise was just one of those, like, I didn't think that I was going to like it, but it got so weird. And I think that's what I loved about it is how weird it got.
The only reason I'm still watching them is because they're like mainly found footage movies, and I love found footage. I think if they were just normal movies, like if they were to take like the route that like Creepshow goes, because it's still different things too, you know, different episodes, different little scenes in it. And I think if they were to go that route, I wouldn't like them as much. But them being found footage, it keeps me a little in there.
There was still a wraparound.
Yeah.
It was good. I mean, I wouldn't say it was the best movie of 2024. It definitely has mixed reviews. I personally, since I loved the other 6 VHSs, I would definitely give it like maybe a 7 out of 10. I think one of my favorite, and spoiler alert, one of my favorite, I think, videos or whatever you want to, tapes of VHS Beyond was the dog vet scene or video. That one was so weird.
Fur babies.
Yeah, fur babies. That's all
called.
I'm gonna say.
That's what it's called. That's the one by the Long brothers too.
Yeah, that one.
That was cool.
That one was my favorite tape of that movie. It just got so weird and so strange and like gory.
I didn't know what was going on during that one. I was so confused for a little bit, and then I was like, okay.
Yeah, it took me a minute to like kind of figure out what was exactly going on, and then it just went from like 0 to 100. And it's just so strange. And I think I love strange movies. I love movies that you normally like, because you have the typical slasher movie, you have the typical like killer movie, you know, killer slasher, same thing, but you get what I'm saying. Like you have that typical horror movie, and this kind of took it to a different level.
What did you guys feel about it?
I don't remember that much of it, but the Fur Babies one, that Justin Long is in that one, right?
I don't know.
I think
One of the Long brothers is in that one.
I think so. I
It's
don't think it was
very-
Long though. I think it was
it's-
what's his name?
It was very reminiscent of
Christian
Tusk,
Long.
which Justin
Which-
Long was also in Tusk. So it was
Yeah.
like, okay, this makes sense. This makes sense.
Yeah, and
I
if it first premiered at the Fantastic Fest
We
on
need to go-
September
we need to go to that
20th,
fest.
which we all need to go to that and see some movies and stuff and meet other cool creative people. And then it started streaming on Shudder on October 4th. So it was kind of a cool start to the spooky season. And they basically are going to do a sequel, obviously. So it's going to be VHS 8 and is scheduled to release in 2025. So that's kind of cool.
I really like that skydive one. I think it was called Live and Let Live.
That
or
was
something
one of
like
my
that.
favorites too.
That was cool. I always have like plane trauma, I guess. Because I've only flown like 3 times in my life. So I was like, I think the first time I flown was like, what, 3-4 years ago?
Yeah, when we went to Vegas
Or Arizona was the first time
or
I flown.
Arizona.
Yeah.
That's right.
So like I saw that, and coming from movies like Final Destination and like Red Eye and stuff like that, I'm like, oh, I don't know about this. And then you see like, they're going up, and you just see like this big explosion. I'm like, I don't know about this.
It's a no for me.
Yeah, that's a no for me, dog. But that was cool. And then they landed, and it gave me like almost like A Quiet Place, like / Cloverfield vibes in that little episode.
Sure.
And I love those movies too. So
I love that you go up and through the windows of the plane, you see that they're being attacked by some sort of like alien,
Yeah.
entity, but you can't see anything.
I think that's what I love
And
about it.
that was really intense. I liked that a lot.
Sometimes I like the movies that keep the creature or, entity or whatever you want to call it kind of a secret. I feel like that makes the movie 10 times more intense because you're trying to figure out like, what the hell is this?
Well, that's how I was in Cloverfield too. You don't see that monster until like the very, very end of it.
I kept wanting to know, like, what does this thing look like? Like, tell me or show me or something.
Love those movies.
Love the first episode too with that bird alien up in the attic.
Oh yeah.
And then
Oh,
and just
that was
all
weird.
the zombie, like the alien zombies that were attacking
Yeah.
them. And I
Mhm.
mean, that was like some Evil Dead shit there for a minute.
These directors are just crazy. It
Yeah.
reminds me of like what was that? Like the Masters of Horror
Yes.
when they used to do those
Sure.
and they had different directors that did the different stories. I love
Yeah.
those too. Those are good, but they were
Yes.
always very weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love those too.
I just love the fact that it's so different and it's so strange and so out there. And I think that's why I love it so much. Because
They're all like that too. Like even that one of the ones from like a different one where he has like the little camera in his eye.
Oh, and he sees like the dead people and the dead people try to kill him basically. And he's trying to get this thing out his eye. And yeah, that one was super weird.
Solid.
I like the one with the Bollywood actress who was really the witch.
Yeah.
Oh,
that,
yeah.
that was pretty messed up.
I do remember that one. That one
Yeah.
was good.
Yeah,
that
that
was
one
messed up.
was really weird. But I love that the VHS franchise is just weird and out there, and it's nice. So I think the next one that we can talk about, and I feel like we could talk about this movie. It could be so many things that we can talk about, and that would have to be Terrifier 3, the movie of 2024. I feel like that movie, is number 1 on my list. 10 out of 10.
Definitely
1,000
my
out
top
of
3
Yep.
for the year.
And like we previously talked about on our podcast, that's kind of how we all met. We were at Nightmare Weekend in Richmond, and we got to see Terrifier 3 that night. And I mean, that film was just, I'm speechless because it's just such a amazing movie. Directed by Damien Leone. He's continuing the gruesome saga of Art the Clown, portrayed by David Howard Thornton. It was set during the Christmas season. Do you guys think it's a Christmas movie?
Yes.
Of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
Die Hard can be a Christmas movie. This
Definitely a Christmas present, that's for sure.
Yes. The film follows survivor Sienna Shaw, which is played by the lovely Lauren Lavera, as she confronts Art's renewed killing spree. It premiered at Fantastic Fest that fest we need to go to in September of 2024. It's been noted for its extreme gore and practical effects, with some theaters reportedly providing sick bags. That was kind of like when I heard about that on, I think I was reading something on Facebook, how like people were just getting out of the theater because of how gory and how sick it was. The film is currently available in select theaters. Actually, so they had it in theaters and then it went off of theaters, and then I guess they did so well in the box office and they had a special showing of it on Christmas Day.
Yeah, they brought it back in select theaters for
So
Christmas.
it is a Christmas movie.
So,
Facts.
so it is.
Factually a
Mhm.
Christmas
You
movie.
can't tell me it's not. Did Die Hard come back on Christmas?
Nope.
I don't know, actually.
Oh
but-
my goodness.
We don't know, but no.
But
Probably
that
not.
first scene, like, oh my goodness, you're going through and watching that first scene and you're kind of expecting it to be gory because of just how gory the first couple of movies were. And it just, oh my goodness, that's all I got to say, because it just leaves me speechless.
It was
Really
just
sets
super
the tone for nobody is safe. This clown is coming for everybody.
Everybody and anyone. Like, I mean, that movie is just filmed so good, and Leone, like, he just has a real, you could tell his love for this franchise of movies. Like, it's
Well,
just
that's why
so
he
good.
keeps his name on the poster.
Yeah.
It's his movie. It's his baby. He's going to keep it.
Yeah. Well, I recently just finally watched the original Black Christmas for the first time. And this has a lot of like that vibe.
I was
from
getting that
film.
too. I feel it definitely has a lot of that vibe in it.
And especially the scene where Art's up in the attic and he's just sitting there waiting. It kind of reminds you of like
In the
when you
rocking
go up,
chair.
yeah, it's
Mhm.
like you go up and you see the girl wrapped in plastic
Yeah,
and it's, kind of thing. But it just has that weird like 70s vibe to it. Whereas I guess part 2 really was more of an 80s vibe. This one just really went back to like some of the good proto slashers of the 1970s.
The roots of horror.
Well, like we were
Love
saying
that.
in the last episode, we needed a good icon. We
Yeah.
haven't had an icon in a while. We had Freddy, we have Jason, we have Michael, we have Chucky, we have Pinhead. We have all those people. We needed a good one because we were tired of remakes.
Yeah.
And I mean, who doesn't like a sadistically insane demon clown
Who's also a mime.
who is also mime and doesn't talk, and he is just silly, and I love everything about the whole Terrifier franchise. I'm excited to see where they're going to go with Terrifier 4. I know that both Leone and David is going to knock it out of the, and even Sienna, who Lauren Lavera, right? Yeah. Lavera, they're going to knock it out of the park. Like, I'm super excited for it.
Do we think the kid died? Do we think Jonathan died?
No.
No, we
I
didn't see him
personally, I
die.
don't think you didn't see his body, because
You didn't see
usually,
him
like,
die?
when they do a kill, it's you see the dead body. You didn't see a dead body, so he's not dead.
Am I wrong for
I-
wanting him to be dead?
That's
Well,
your,
I mean,
that's
it
your
would-
thing, dude.
It
All right.
would drive Sienna to her lowest point, which would be the depths of hell, which is
The whole point.
the whole thing of
Yeah.
it. So, I mean, maybe, but I personally think no, because of what Whitney said. Like, when he kills, like, you see the kill, or at least a lot of the evidence of the kill.
Of course.
So, he's not
Demons
just
are
going to
res-
let him go untouched, I feel.
Demons are resourceful. They can get those glasses anywhere.
Yep.
Damn.
He could have got it at the Halloween shop that he went
And
to.
skulls. You can get skulls everywhere now.
Yeah, I've gotten a couple.
Yeah. So,
But that movie is just, there's so many scenes that made me uncomfortable, and I loved that feeling of being uncomfortable, and just the gore was so gory. And I mean, I could talk about this movie, but it's definitely a 10 out of 10.
yeah, shower scene was my favorite.
Oh my goodness, that shower scene.
Yeah.
That was brutal.
Yeah.
I think the scene that, and I'm not gonna, maybe spoiler
No, we're
alert.
spoiling everything. tonight.
The glass scene, that scene made me feel so uncomfortable.
Yeah. Honestly, the mall scene was pretty unexpected.
That was
like,
brutal.
I'm like, what is he gonna do? And he's gonna do something, but I didn't expect it to be that.
Yeah.
And that was the part for me. I was like,
If you don't like killing
Jaw
kids in
drop.
a movie, this is not the movie. for
because you
Yeah.
wonder how he's gonna, like, it's the first 2 movies are pretty gory, so you're like, it can't get any worse than those two. No, watch how high we can fly.
I mean, the first scene, there's 3 kids that died.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That's what I'm saying. It sets the tone for like, we're not messing around. Violence is on 20 right
and
now.
Halfway through the movie, another 15 kids die.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know. I'm curious to see what they do with it. I enjoyed this movie much more that we actually got to meet David and like have like little tiny conversations with him and everything. Like, he's a great guy. Super sweet, super nice. And you wouldn't think that somebody like so weird and sadistic is that guy, but he was just the sweetest dude.
Well, I love also during the Santa scene at the mall, it gave me, just with the colors, the way it pops, gave me like mad Christmas Story, Rocky Horror vibes on top of Black Christmas. It was a really strange combo. It's neat how we pulled that off.
Yeah, I just loved the graininess of the film, the goriness of it. It was just a fantastic film.
Hell yeah.
I love how like they're not bad movies, but they're bad movies. You know what I'm saying? Like the way they're filmed is not like they don't have to have something that's insanely shot with like Alexa Aria cameras or anything. And they might be. I don't know. But the way they're filmed, it just gives you that like that 80s horror vibe where it's filmed kind of badly, but not badly. And then like the blood is just bright red. It's like that almost
and
like
everywhere.
And everywhere. And it's just, I don't know, so good. And even like the special effects, because it was a very low budget movie. It made like, what, 10 times or something?
10 times.
It made 45 times its budget. It was $2 million budget, and it made, I think it was like 89.5 million.
Yeah, which makes, I read that it makes it one of the highest, the top film, like it made like the film that made the most money in the box office. Made most profit. And it's cool seeing it in theaters too. Like it's really cool seeing something that gory and that insane,
especially with other people too, because like you don't know who's sitting next to you, and most of the time the people that are sitting next to us were busting out laughing. So it kind of made the time watching it a little bit more comfortable, but it was still just crazy gore. And yeah, I was gonna say something else, but I forgot.
Well, I've never heard of theaters giving out sick bags for movies. So that was new.
Yeah, that
used to happen in the late 70s, early 80s, I think.
Our tolerance has gone up though.
Yeah.
Slightly.
I feel like if you're not into horror or into gore and you're going into this blinded, then it's going to be a roller coaster of a ride.
We also should mention that Ice Nine Kills song too.
Oh my goodness, we love Ice Nine Kills.
It was my most played song of 2024.
Yeah,
and it didn't even come out until October.
It's on in the car every time I get in.
Yeah, we
it's
can't.
Such a masterpiece of a song.
We can't fault that. I mean, the band is like, a lot of people think the band is cringy, and I can see why. They're very niche, but I think this one, really did good. And the video had David in it, which was
I love that
solid.
music video.
Yeah, I love the music video. That's super cool.
And Ice Nine was playing in the dorm room when Jonathan went in his dorm room too.
Yep.
So
yeah,
I didn't realize
cool.
that.
Yep.
It was.
Gonna need to go back and watch it.
It's a niche,
Again.
but it's a niche for me, I feel.
And I just love how the movie, like, it all ties it starts to really pull the plot together. Like, you have the first Terrifier, then the second one, and then the third one really pulls everything together. And you get to learn a little bit more about this demon and a little bit of, Sienna's traumas and her being in the hospital and stuff. And it just really pulled both of the movies and this third one all together. And I'm excited to see, like, where they go from here.
Jonathan's still a prick.
Well, and then you have like the two elements of like a supernatural slasher.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of cool. Kind of similar to Chucky.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the end of this film really gives you a far more, like, it really zooms in on the, how am I going to put this? It gives more of a focus on where this is going to go next, because it leads that, because it does get a little more into the story with, what happened with Sienna and her dad, but also the origins of like what this thing with Art and Victoria is all about.
I feel like I want more backstory about the guy that makes it was the guy that made the knife, the sword.
So we were watching this video about all the like kind of religious ties and like the scene with the angel that has the demon on a chain and all that. I can't remember specifically what they were talking about with the sword, but it's basically she's wearing like the warrior's armor or something like that. So like she made her own suit, but he made the sword, which if you look, it's like, can't remember, like Sword of Courage or something like that, but that's why it doesn't burn in the fire, and that's why she can like, you know, hold it up and not be hurt and all that. Well, and then in the video they were saying that like the little girl, they were saying that he was an actual clown working
in the first
at the fair, and that the little girl, or whatever it was, fair, amusement park, I think it was a fair, but that the little girl was actually probably one of his first victims, and that's why she comes back to him. Like that's why he's seeing specifically her as, you know, I'm sure it's not guilt. He has no guilt, but
I just want to talk about Jason's stereotypical bite of a cookie he just made. Like, look at the shape
Oh, you
of that
said
thing.
you were taking a break, not recording this shit. Come on now.
She started talking about it.
Yeah, she started talking. She brought it back. That was a sick bite. I appreciate that.
Cut, go,
I like
you
that.
know?
I like that.
Do some cookie ASMR.
But yeah, I like the fact that, you know, we see the little girl, and then in the third one it's Victoria, and you kind of see like how that all plays together with the demon and whatnot, and how strong of a hold it has on Art the Clown. And, you know, so 10 out of 10 for me. Definitely movie of the year for me. I feel like if you haven't seen it, I definitely recommend seeing it, because I could probably talk about that movie and it'll never get old.
Yeah, it's still a 10 for me too. I wouldn't say it's my top, but it's definitely in top 3.
I'm offended by that.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Top 3 for me too.
Yeah, see? He offends you too.
It's my top one. It's my one. It's top.
It's your number 1, baby.
Number 1. Ride or die.
All right, so next on the list, this is a movie that I was all right with. I was okay with. Wasn't my favorite. We're going to talk about 2024's horror thriller Abigail. Directed, wait.
Hey.
Directed by Tyler Gillett, I guess, and Matt. I'm not even going to pronounce that.
Radio Silence team.
I'm not butchering that. Featuring Melissa Barrera, Alicia Weir, and Catherine Newton.
And Dan Stevens.
He
was in Cuckoo also. Great actor.
The film follows a group of criminals who kidnap 12-year-old Abigail, only to discover she is a sadistic vampire. As they become trapped in a secluded mansion, they must confront Abigail's deadly natures. Critics have praised this film for its engaging performances and effective blend of horror and dark humor. Premiered in theaters on April 19th and is now available on most streaming platforms. It's also, I think, free on Peacock too. So
It was a blast.
It was definitely one of those movies where I wasn't going in expecting a whole lot. I knew there was some mixed reviews on the movie, but I love the fact that, you know, we have a bunch of vampire flicks like, you know, Queen of the Damned. We have The Interview with the Vampire. And it was cool to see a different twist on a vampire flick. The fact that it had a lot of comedic relief in the movie as well. And then just her being a vampire, it was really cool. I loved her acting. I loved just pretty much most of it. I just don't think that it would be in my top 3 just because, I don't know. It just wasn't, I love the movie, but it just wasn't my favorite. I'd give it probably like a 6 out of 10.
Sidney just made the craziest face. It reminded me of what's that guy from SpongeBob?
Patrick.
No, it's not a SpongeBob. It's not a SpongeBob face.
No, I like
we're
it.
keeping it.
Keep it. I don't care. I think it's funny.
Not SpongeBob. It was. I mean, not Patrick. It was a different character. I'm gonna figure this out. I'll find it later.
Well, I was gonna say, dang, 6 is kind of low. I did it an 8, but as I'm thinking about it, like I haven't had a desire to like watch it again.
And I don't really remember. Like I remember certain parts of the movie. It was good. Like it was filmed nicely, but I don't know. It doesn't make me want to, like, I would never probably watch it again. It wasn't one of those movies where, like Terrifier, for instance, where I'd want to watch it again. And I don't really remember, but I do remember that it had some comedic relief, which made it nice. And also it had
Angus Stone,
R.I.P. and
also Euphoria.
Yep. And he, like, I loved his acting. I love him in general. And his acting was just phenomenal. And I think that's what really, along with Abigail, I forget who played her, but I really liked her acting and stuff in the movie.
So I think you can give a movie an 8 and not have a desire to watch it again.
Yeah, it's true.
I mean, because some movies
I
you
just said 6 because it kind of,
Where did it miss you?
I'm thinking like maybe I like the comedic relief, but it just
Played against what they were doing.
It played against it, and the plot was just kind of silly. But I mean, it was
Fair.
good. I had fun with the movie. I had fun watching it.
I don't think it was supposed to be a very serious
Serious.
movie per se.
Yeah.
And like I don't the replay value on it is just not there for me. I could give it a high score. I'm not going to because I didn't like it. It was probably I'll give it a 6 too. I actually fell asleep I think during it and then woke up.
Well, you always fall asleep when we watch movies, so
That is true, but that's another story.
Hey,
But I don't know. It seemed weird to me that she was just like a kidnapped vampire, and it was all because of like what her dad.
Yeah, it was like money related, and
Her dad was like some big vampire too, right?
but there was a twist in the movie, was there?
It was very twisty.
Yeah, it did have definitely a big twist that I wasn't expecting, and I think that's why I gave it a 6 out of 10 because like and not lower because of the twist. I love when movies just have that unexpected like oh my goodness moment, So, but yeah.
I thought it was a lot of fun. It was, I didn't take it too seriously at any given point. I mean, it's, a little vampire dressed as a ballerina, and they're going to kidnap her. It was only so seriously I could take it. Plus, you had just shown me, Sidney, Ready or Not. And so I kind of had a feel like for how, the movie was going to vibe. And it did vibe very similarly to that. So it was just kind of like a hoot for me. It's like riding a coaster.
Yeah, I mean, you're kind of there just for along the ride and whatever happens. And the movie, like the makeup effects on Abigail was crazy. Like they did a really, really good job on the makeup, and I thought it was really terrifying to see her in the vampire role. And she's kind of a little shithead too.
Yeah.
Oh, completely.
Little brat.
Little
I mean,
We're all
brat.
shitheads.
Do you
though.
expect
That's
more out of a child vampire?
I think it's sad because she's stuck like that forever. So I think it's
I
just
always,
sad.
I always
How old
get
was she in the movie? Like
12, maybe
100?
younger.
yeah,
a couple hundred
Mhm.
years old.
it can be like that sometimes.
But yeah, I give it a 6 out of 10 because I'm not going to give it lower just because like I'm kind of in the middle. Like it's a 50-50 for me. I enjoyed the movie, but would I watch it again? Probably not. There. So you can put it on your list if you want to watch it. Definitely a good first watch. Just wasn't one that I would repeatedly watch. So
Well, it had Kevin Durant in it too, and Kevin Durant was in like Planet of the Apes. I like that guy.
Yeah.
He's like a badass. Oh, he was in The Strain. That's what I was talking. That's what I was thinking of.
Yeah, he was a big dude.
Love The
Yeah.
Strain. The Strain was so good. But yeah, I think it had a good cast. The plot just fell short for me.
Yeah.
By a long run. But
yeah, I think that's where it lost some points was the plot. I mean, it just kind of
I mean, it really wears its heart on its sleeve, though. I mean, you see the preview for it. You know what the gist of it is. You just go in for the twists and the fun of it.
yeah.
That's kind of how I look at it, looking back, having seen it.
yeah. So I think next up on our list would be
Alien Romulus.
yeah.
I'm
10 out of
dying
10.
to talk about this one. Dying.
So Alien Romulus is a 2024 science fiction horror film directed by Fede Alvarez. Yeah. Set between the events of Aliens in 1979 and Alien 1979 and Aliens 1986. The story follows 6 young space colonists who encounter hostile creatures while scavenging a derelict space station. The film stars Kaylee Spaney, David Johnson, Archie. I'm not even. These names aren't working for me.
Spaney and Johnson were
Yeah.
the heart of the film, really.
Yeah.
Especially Johnson. He was amazing as Andy.
Yeah, I'm just gonna stop butchering names here.
Yeah, amazing. There were things I loved about it. There were things that I really wish kind of weren't the way they are. But so hey, it's movies for you.
I think we went through a span, probably like 2023, where we watched all the Alien movies.
Mhm.
I like them. There were some that I didn't like. There were some that I really do like.
Yeah.
I'm not like a diehard Aliens fan, but I went into this movie knowing that it was an alien movie, knowing that I could probably pick up and not have to worry about the rest. And I didn't. I like the movie.
Yeah, I feel like that's cool about the movie is that if you haven't watched any of the previous Alien movies of the franchise, that you can watch Romulus and kind of get a clue on what happened prior to that movie and not have to watch the previous ones. I think that's the cool thing about that whole movie. And I really liked this movie because it was gory. I liked the gore. I wish it was a little bit more gory. I wish it was gorier, and I think that they really did a pretty good job at making this movie, filming it, the acting. I mean, it was good. I think I would give it probably 8 out of 10.
It was 10 out of 10 for me, but I'm one of those people that I'm just going to see an alien movie just because it's the franchise. I'm one of those people.
Well, let's hear why you thought it was a 10. Put you on the spot here.
Because it's an alien movie and I'm going to watch alien movies.
All right.
No, I was just super excited because I also just recently watched all of them. Well, not all of them, but the first two with him. And Aliens, chef's kiss. Oh, so good.
Yeah.
So I was like super excited to see like what happened in between. But I definitely agree with you, Whitney, with they give you a little bit of like the first one, but it's not relying too heavily on the knowledge of that one. You can
like
go
that.
into it blind, and it brings in, older fans, newer fans, never seen it, and get into it. Yeah. So that was why it was 10 out of 10 for me.
I like that you can go into it without seeing the other ones, but if you have seen the other ones, you get kind of more of like a nostalgia kind of feel, and you kind of appreciate it more.
Well, it's broader scope.
Yeah, I appreciated it because the set design was insane. Like seeing the light come through those little shutter windows and seeing
Immaculate.
every like little quote unquote God ray come through was perfect. The sound design was great. It's exactly what I think it would sound like in space. Like very just like
Authentic.
muted
Yeah.
and like kind of like damp, especially when you go out into those anti-gravity zones where everything's kind of like weird and hissy, kind of like that. I love that. And I don't think it was one of those movies that needed gore. I didn't need gore in it. I love the acid from the aliens though, like in that anti-gravity zone
Yeah,
where
that
the
was
acid
cool.
is just floating around.
That was neat.
I loved it. It reminds me of like space games that I've played, like Dead Space, one of my all-time favorite horror movies. That's the vibe it gave me, and like I can appreciate it more because I've played those games and I know what those sound like.
Mhm.
So I appreciate those sounds a lot.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with you. I thought the set design, the sound design, the cinematography, the visual effects, for the most part, were 10 out of 10. But I guess and they did some really interesting new things that I really loved. Like there was a bit with the face huggers and in the cold.
Oh, yeah.
That was really
That was
kind of
great.
cool. I like that.
Because you kind of wonder like they've made all these other movies. What are they going to do that's new? What can they possibly
can they do?
change? And they do it, and it's great. It was great execution, and you're like, wow. They just keep adding layers, and you just like it's amazing.
Yeah, with them swimming through the water and like that very first scene where the water's like what, ankle or knee deep, and they're just like swimming through and you don't know where they are. That is fucking terrifying to me.
Well, they also did, I think, one of the major changes that they did from the franchise was one, like next leveling the android, which they did with David. And then also the way he communicates with Rook, the half droid that's that's left, found on the ship. Now, a lot of people, from what I understand, had problem with the fact that they used Ian Holmes' likeness for the Rook character from the first film, but Ridley Scott insisted on that. And his family thought it was a great idea to do it. They approved. So I don't see what all the fuss is about. What I didn't like was the CGI was not very good.
It was not.
It was not very good for the face and
Which is crazy because we're in 2024 and the CGI should be amazing. Like you see
Jurassic Park. I mean, come on.
I mean, you see
you
films.
got the budget.
You see movies like Tron.
Yeah.
Like when they do Jeff Bridges and they make him an old guy and a young guy, and it's like phenomenal. Like it's great. Like there's no reason why it just wasn't good. They have the budget.
That, and there's also another thing, being that this takes place between Alien and Aliens, they have this, if you pay attention to the technology, the sets and the weapons and the equipment, it's this really interesting halfway point in between the technology of the first and where it goes in Aliens. So it was really neat to see like them pay like that close attention to it and see how it kind of shifts over like to newer technology. My biggest well, I wouldn't say complaint. Well, yeah, it's a complaint. It's my biggest complaint was I think Fede fanboyed a little too hard with this, and I think that I wish he would have made his own film, because this relies very heavily on like, certain scenes and it calls out a lot to the other films, and it really didn't need to. But, one in particular and I'm going to ruin it because I absolutely fucking hate it, was,
Spoiler alert.
It was a line from the second movie, which
is my favorite line
in this film hadn't even
I know
happened yet. And where the android says to an alien, "Get away from her, you bitch." Absolutely fucking ridiculous, completely unnecessary, cringy as fuck. All right. So yeah. All right. I got that out of my system.
Get away from her, you bitch.
Cringy as hell. It just, and again, aliens at that point hadn't even happened yet. So I just think that was really stupid.
Maybe they
inclusion.
took it from them.
And Alien 3, because, the scene where it's like, she's up on the ladder and the thing comes, it's like face to face with her. That's right out of the trailer from Alien 3, and it's just like, come on, man. It's like, obviously you rocked it out of the park with the Evil Dead remake. I just expected a little more from him in terms of making it less, like, hey, I'm the world's biggest Alien fan, kind of. We get it. You got to make your own movie. You made a really good movie. I'm not knocking it, but it's like, just pull back on that.
I just don't think it had to be like a prequel sequel kind of thing. Like, I feel like they could have made their own standalone movie.
Absolutely.
They did it with Prometheus. Prometheus was just like the furthest you could get away from Alien, and it was still. Prometheus is still one of my favorite Alien movies.
I did think that the difference between Andy and the differences between normal Andy and the new directive Andy were pretty interesting.
Yeah.
I liked his subplot with Rain, to be honest, just because of the caring of his disabled sibling and stuff like that.
Yes.
It just it was cool to see the difference between how the normal Andy was so caring to his lady. What was the lady? Rain, was that her name? Or and then how he was just so kind of a dick when he was his other personality.
Well, he
like
was straight up directive.
Yeah, very directive.
He
was on a mission.
Yep.
Get the mission done. That was it. And then, the normal Andy, he was just so comforting and wanting to make sure that she was okay. And
vice versa.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like David.
So I thought it was cool to see the differences between that. So
yeah, it's like David and Prometheus. He was
in
nice.
In Prometheus,
yeah,
right.
In Prometheus.
But, another touch that I absolutely loved about Romulus was how they made the connection with the original alien that was, salvaged from the first film to the black goo from Prometheus.
Mm-hmm.
That I really liked.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was cool.
I thought that was really cool.
And just the fact that they knew that, when she got impregnated with the alien thing, like just trying to figure out, like, do we let her die or do we keep her going? And they're like, well, if we let her go, then, we could all end up dead. It was just kind of interesting to see that all play into the whole movie and how they worked all together to, get out of that mess. So.
And the last, 10, 15 minutes of this movie?
Stressful as fuck.
Were
Very stressful.
absolutely batshit bonkers. And you're either on board or you're off.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, I love that the alien acid scene because that was close to the end.
Mm-hmm.
And I love when they're going through, like, what is that kind of elevator shaft?
Yes.
When they're just falling through that. And it's just, I love that.
My favorite parts of the movie was just seeing her get impregnated with the alien. Like, I think
That's
that
hot.
was that. I don't know why I found it so intriguing, but it was really good.
Well, I think because in all the other movies with the face huggers, like, you know that's pretty much like
What's gonna happen?
well, and like it's devastating in every other movie, and they found like a very creative way to like get it off of her. Again, it's like, what could they possibly
Without
do
killing her.
different?
Yeah.
And they found different things to do, and with every one of the elements, and so that's it's part of why it's 10 out of 10 for me.
I gave it an 8. I liked it more than I thought I would, and I was hoping to really like it.
Yeah.
And I did. I enjoyed it very much. I would watch it again for sure.
Yeah, I'll give it an 8. I don't necessarily have to watch it again.
Yeah.
I would watch it again if it goes on, but I don't necessarily have to. The replay value isn't there for me, but still pretty solid.
So yeah. So I think the next movie on our list would have to be Longlegs. And just to give a little background on this, it was a 2024 American police procedural horror film written and directed by Osgood Perkins. A little bit backstory was that it followed an FBI agent, Lee Harker, who portrayed by Micaiah Monroe, as she invested a series of occult-related murders linked to an exclusive serial killer known as Longlegs, who is played by the notable Nicolas Cage. The film received critical acclaim for its atmospheric tension and compelling performances. It grossed about $127 million worldwide on a budget of less than $10 million. That is insane.
Nice.
With that budget, it made it Neon's highest grossing film domestically and the highest grossing independent film of the year. I know there's mixed reviews on Longlegs, but for personal reasons, I absolutely thought Nicolas Cage knocked it out of the ball with this movie. Definitely, I want to say it's a 10 out of 10 for me. Like, I absolutely love Longlegs. It was creepy, it was silly, it was uncomfortable, gory. I mean, it hit all the spots for me.
So at first, I saw it twice in the theaters. The first time I saw it was a 7 for me. And then I saw it again, and it got bumped up to like an 8.5. I feel like at first they were just selling it as like the scariest movie of all time. And it wasn't the scariest movie of all time, although it is very chilling and unsettling. And I love movies where you don't know someone's playing the character until the very end. Like, if you didn't know it was Nicolas Cage, you would never know it was Nicolas Cage until the credits roll.
Yeah.
Micah or Micaiah, whatever.
Yeah, Micah Monroe.
Hadn't seen her really since It Follows, which I'm in the minority of loving that movie.
I love that movie too.
It Follows.
I thought that was an incredible
I
movie.
refer to it as It Swallows. I did not
no.
care for it.
That's the name of your sex tape, right?
Yeah,
It
absolutely.
is a very one of those movies where it's like you either love it or you don't.
Yeah.
It's one of those. So,
But I thought she was fantastic in this. Very, the tension, the social awkwardness of the character. But also there's this, they kind of string you along with the weird relationship that she has with her mother. And then obviously this fascination she builds with trying to find Longlegs. And the atmosphere in this film was just so dark. And it was this like sense of dread that just builds and thickens as the movie goes on. And I know a lot of people don't like the supernatural reveal in the story. I had no problem with it. I thought it fit pretty well. I liked how Silence of the Lambsy it was.
Definitely.
With the procedural aspects of the police work and whatnot. And it just really, I went in not knowing anything about it, really. I didn't pay attention to the hype. I didn't listen.
Even the trailers were very just like bleak.
Yeah.
It didn't show much.
Yeah.
And it was
you
like
just hear his voice.
and
But
there's flashing scenes, and then that was it.
Yeah. It had a very 70s grainy type feel to it as well, which I also liked. And I don't mind a good slow burn as long as there's, a payoff.
Yeah. And I think that's what I really enjoyed too, is that a lot of people were warning like, oh, it's a very slow start to the movie, but you just got to get through it. And I was like going into it like thinking, I'm probably not going to like this, but I love Nicolas Cage regardless. And to see him play this role in this film, that's not like his normal stuff, like, Gone in 60 Seconds. It's a couple other ones he did. I mean, there's just his acting was just totally insane. Like, I mean, it was just uncomfortable, and I mean, it was just a great movie.
Yeah. I mean, going back to like when we talked about cameras earlier, like when we were talking about Terrifier, this movie actually did use ARRI Alexas, and I knew that going into it, but I didn't know what cameras it used for the flashback scenes. And it was still an ARRI, but it was a 35 millimeter ARRI, and that was cool. I liked how grainy and just raw feeling it was. Like I like that movies don't have to be as sharp as they could be, but are still sharp, but give you that very nostalgia vibe. Like they shot it on an old camera, and it comes with like movies that are just like have that shaky cam that aren't completely steady and stabilized. I love that. I love that look of it.
Well, there was some good shadow play in this one too.
Yeah.
And also there are several times in the movie, if you look closely, where you will see long legs, or even just in the shadows, or, you'll see the shape of Satan in the shadows, and it will just be there for a second and disappear. And if you look for it, you'll see it.
Yeah.
And the first one that appears in the film is when she's in her house and she goes out to look for him, and he comes in the house. When she's back in the house and she sees him in the distance, you see the shape, the horns, and it just very quickly, dissipates.
Yeah.
But it's there. It's really interesting.
It gave me, what's that one movie, Black Phone?
Yeah.
It gave me Black Phone vibes, which is also another good one that I enjoyed. But it definitely gave me the vibes of like this mysterious like thing that talks to kids and just has a weird, not relationship, but just a weird confrontation with this child, and then just to see how it evolves with that.
I'm going to be the odd person out and say it wasn't my favorite. I liked it for the film aspects, but that like whole supernatural cult thing at the very end, it just kind of threw me off. I wanted it to be like Silence of the Lambs, like a horror, like detective kind of movie, like True Detective and like all those kind of movies, like True Detective, the show. Like I wanted to be kind of like that, where it's still scary, but you don't have to bring in something supernatural. And then, I mean, I went into it thinking it was the most scariest film ever made, because that's what people were saying, but it was also a new movie, so we know that that's what they say when a new scary movie comes out. But it didn't do it for me. I wouldn't. Maybe I'll watch it again.
Yeah, I feel like I need to watch it again. I mean, I enjoyed it for for Nicolas Cage being so creepy and just the wanting to know more about it, but I think I really need to watch it again just to kind of, I feel like it's one of those films where I can watch it again and know more, the little Easter eggs and everything in the movie.
And kind of pick up on things you missed maybe the first time.
Yeah. Sure. Especially read more about it, because I got kind of confused at the end when they brought that occult stuff in, like the supernatural stuff. But I didn't hate it. It's just not, it wouldn't have made my top 5.
Yeah. Well, I loved Michael Monroe in the film. I love Nicolas Cage. Yeah. And I love the fact that it's written and directed, well, at least directed by the son of one of my favorite actors, who is Anthony Perkins. And so, yeah, that was kind of cool. I gave it an 8.
I'm going to give it a 6.5.
I said 10 out of 10 just because I enjoyed it. I'd watch it again.
I would too.
Seeing it a second time, it got the higher bump for me. So it's 8.5. But originally, when we first saw it, I was kind of disappointed, because I always do this. I always hype myself up for movies, and then when they're not there, I'm just like so let down.
I mean, that's what I was saying. I hyped myself up for it.
I think that's why I gave it such a high rating, because I knew what other people were saying, but I wanted to form my own opinion on it. I kind of let that go to the back of my head and go into the movie experiencing it for the first time and not listening to like what other people were saying about it. I definitely don't think it was as scary as people were putting it out, but I just liked just the whole, movie in itself, like just the mysterious Nick Cage. I think that's what made it, what it is.
Yeah. I'll watch it again, and then we'll pick back up on it next one. All right. So next we have Late Night Devil. Late Night with the Devil. Sorry, I'm getting
Late
slurry
night,
over
no.
here.
Sound like Boomhauer.
It's that beatbox.
No. Yeah, so Late Night with the Devil. Late Night with the Devil was a 2024 horror film directed by Cameron and Colin Carnes. Carnes? One of those. I'm just going to stop butchering names. Set during a 1977 Halloween broadcast of the fictional late night talk show Night Owls with Jack Delroy. I enjoyed this movie.
Same.
I am biased. So, like, would I watch it again? Probably not. I think that the plot was pretty interesting. The fact that they bring, this child on to their show and just chaos kind of happens after that. I mean, the plot was good. I don't know. It wasn't my favorite.
I do think I fell asleep.
You did.
Again.
You did.
And I woke up at that very end part and I was like, what the fuck? But I was like, okay, I get it. It was a new aspect to a horror movie. Like you don't see horror movies that just sit in one, like many horror movies, they just set in one setting the whole time. Like it didn't move. Like it stayed in that TV show thing. It reminded me of like, Jimmy Fallon or like, all those kind of shows.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, what if this actually fucking happened? And I thought it was cool. The ending was weird to me because I did fall asleep, so maybe I need to watch it out again. But the effects were really cool.
I love David Dastmalchian in it. I thought it was fantastic. And the way the movie captured the authenticity of an actual 70s talk show.
Yeah.
I mean, I watched, you guys don't know, but
You were the only one there.
You're showing your age there, Jason.
When I was a kid, I used to watch a lot of 70s TV. So it really has that authenticity of what television was like back in that era. And it just, for them to take it and then put this really just almost ludicrous scenario in that. I thought there was some humor in it, but I thought it was pretty disturbing for the most part. I liked the found footage aspect of it because it didn't entirely play out like a found footage film, even though that it was the broadcast of the show.
Yeah.
And I thought it was really good.
I just thought it was a cool way to film a movie. Like,
yeah.
I didn't even think, like, until you just said it, I didn't even think of it as a found footage movie just because it was shot to not be found footage,
Right.
Like, but it kind of still is found footage, I guess. Yeah. So it makes sense. Yeah.
Because that was the last broadcast of that show.
Yeah.
And that was the lost tape.
And the lost tape.
Yeah.
We found it.
Yeah. I mean, I enjoyed the movie. Would I watch it again? Probably not. But that's just my take on it. It was filmed. I loved how it was filmed. I loved that it was different. It wasn't like all the other horror movies that you watch. It was like maybe a 6 out of 10 for me.
It was definitely 6 out of 10 for me. This is definitely one that I was actually most disappointed with. Not that I didn't like it or that it wasn't good. I personally was just most disappointed with. I don't know what I thought was gonna happen, but it just didn't hit me the same way it hit him. He was like, "Boom, this is amazing," and I was like, "It was okay. It was eh."
Like I went into the movie not really wanting to watch it in the first place.
Well, there you
Fair.
go.
So I tried, I gave it a try, and I'm like, I love my horror movies, but I just went into this movie not even wanting to watch it, and it was a good movie. I mean, like, I'm not going to give it a low rating, but it was definitely filmed differently, and I think it's just one of those that I enjoyed, but would I watch it again? Probably not.
That's definitely one thing about a lot of these movies of 2024 is a lot of them came with like new ideas and new concepts that we really haven't seen, and so I got to give them props for that.
Well, yeah,
but it just didn't hit me the way
But with
I
these
wanted
new
it
concepts,
to.
they might be paving the way for new ones.
Yeah,
You never know.
I mean,
Stepping stone, sure.
Mhm.
I gave it an 8.5.
I'll give it like a 8.2. I'm gonna go with the 0.2. I don't know why, but I need to.
All right, what do we have? What's next?
I think the next one that we're going to talk about that's on our 2024 recap is The First Omen. It was directed by Arcacia Stevenson. It was a prequel to the 1976 classic The Omen. It follows Margaret, who is a young American nun portrayed by Nell Tiger Free. I'm sorry if I butchered that.
We be butchered.
She uncovers a sinister conspiracy within the Catholic Church aimed at birthing the Antichrist. As Margaret dives deeper into the church's dark secrets, she becomes entangled in a series of disturbing events that challenges her faith and morality. Critics have lauded the film for its atmospheric tension, its compelling storytelling, with Roger Ebert's website describing it as a stunning prequel, and it really captures the strength and spirit of the classic horror films. And I think this is available on Hulu, and I believe it might be on Prime as well. Don't quote me on that.
All right, Jason, you start out. I know you like this movie.
Okay. I did. I thought it was beautifully shot, the locations. I mean, having been to Italy myself, it's just getting lost in that texture, that environment with the architecture. It's unlike, it's so unique and beautiful.
Well, that's the thing about Italy and France and all those. They have that old Gothic architecture. And it's just beautiful. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So
it
really
was from a time when they were all tripping on shrooms and like freaking out,
Which is crazy because they're tripping on shrooms and freaking out and making these like insane structures that you don't even think would survive. But
sculptures, absolutely.
Yeah.
But or maybe that. Anyways, I love the certain things about the film. There was one really big continuity error that stands out like a sore thumb. If you have seen the original Omen, which I think is a masterpiece, and that is Damien's mother, the priest in the original film said Damien's mother was a jackal. So then why at the end of this film was the jackal a dude?
See, I'm
just saying, if you're going into this making a prequel,
I don't want to disappoint you and say that I've never seen the original.
Well,
shun me.
I'm not gonna shun you, but damn, bro.
Yeah, that's
I'm kicked out of the chat.
I think I've seen it at one point, but I don't really remember exactly when I saw it.
It's not going to ruin the movie for you.
I feel like I've seen there's remakes of it, right?
Well, there's the first one, there's one, that one, 2, and then 3. And 3 is when the child from the first one is an adult. So, I mean, you don't really need to watch the second and the third one. The first one is the masterpiece. That was going to be my point of mine, was like, it didn't do as well for me. So I gave Immaculate 9 out of 10, and I gave The First Omen a 7 out of 10.
Yeah.
So two things with that. The original Omen for me is one of those I watch with my dad every Halloween. It's creepy. It still stands. You can watch it now and it still just be creepy as hell. It just was amazing.
Yeah, it's disturbing as hell, man.
The First Omen to me just didn't hit those marks. There's the one scene, which I'm not going to say, but that was the only disturbing scene, really.
Say it.
It had to do with a demon and a vagina.
In the vagina. That was weird. But I feel like they did themselves a disservice by releasing it as, I don't know which one came first, Immaculate or First Omen, but it's almost like
actually came out first.
It was almost like the Terrifier Joker thing, like two clowns going up against each other, and it's like it was kind of the same thing, that same kind of concept. And I just feel like Immaculate did it better.
So apparently 2006 Omen was a remake of the 1970s
Yeah,
Omen.
it was terrible.
Yeah, it is.
And that is the one I've seen. So,
Yeah.
Go back and watch the night.
But I mean, I'm not going to say I liked it, because I didn't. I'll go back and watch the original.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good movie. I wouldn't say, it wasn't really groundbreaking per se, but something, the cinematography was great. I love that it was kind of filmed like a 70s old school, grainy, creepy, eerie kind of vibe.
That's
And then
what people are doing now.
I just feel like this movie just goes from like 0 to 100. Like, it's just complete dread, the entire movie.
I like the fact that point out Ralph Ineson as Father Brennan in this movie. He was the father of the family in The Witch, the Robert Eggers film.
I haven't seen that one either. Sorry.
That one is amazing.
Oh, good.
And he's a great actor, but it just, it just only went so far. And for me, again, sort of certain rehashes from the original film just kind of downplayed it for me. Immaculate is the film that I will go back to.
I wonder if I could watch Immaculate and then just watch The Omen. Maybe. Who knows? Maybe I'll just watch it again.
Yeah, I feel like I need to rewatch this movie because I don't really remember too much of what happened. I think I need to rewatch all of the ones so that way I can form a better opinion about it. But I definitely probably give it a 7 out of 10 for now, and then probably rewatch it and maybe give it a higher rating. But for now, I'm just going to give it a 7.
I feel like 7s are my average.
Yeah.
Well, I think that the First Omen was a bit more fanciful, but the Immaculate was a lot more practical.
Oh, yeah, I liked Immaculate a lot more.
And I love the practicality of it. It made it more like sort of real life disturbing.
But I also went into Immaculate and the First Omen knowing that you were going to like either one. And that was the way my mind was. And I think I saw Immaculate first. I think we saw Immaculate first.
Yeah. And I don't really like time period piece horror. I think that's where I lack in my horror genre. So I feel like the cinematography again was what really kept me wanting to watch more because of how beautifully it was portrayed. But I think that's why I need to watch it again because I don't think I paid attention too much while watching it. So.
I think I fell asleep.
That seems to be
Famous
a
last
reoccurring-
words here.
No,
a
not
reoccurring
you.
thing that happens.
Yeah, there are some movies, we'll keep it for a part 2, but some movies I stayed awake the whole time. Some,
Unfortunately or fortunately?
fortunately.
Okay, good.
Unfortunately, too, actually.
Oh,
Yeah.
Well,
Mhm.
yeah.
There was one that we're waiting saving for part 2 that was the worst movie I've ever seen, and I stayed awake for it.
Ever in your life or just like this year? Or both?
Maybe both.
Ooh.
Stay tuned for that.
I don't even know which one that is.
Are we talking about Platform 2 this episode?
Nope.
No, we haven't seen that
You can
one
cut-
yet.
You can cut that part.
Nope.
Timestamp it.
We ain't cutting it.
Um,
Everything Stays World is about as raw as it gets.
Oh my
You know what I'm saying?
goodness.
I don't think it's going to pick up. You need to do that louder. There you go.
There's just so many good movies this year. I think 2024 really had a lot of decent movies. There's a lot that we need to discuss in a later episode that we haven't watched yet.
We do have-
Nosferatu.
We do have one more movie that we haven't talked about.
Which?
You want to take a guess?
No.
2024 movie we haven't talked about yet that we've all seen.
Wait.
Do, 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 do,
This is where we take a break.
No, we're not taking a break. We're
Yes,
giving it. We're giving the audience this awkward silence while y'all figure out what
Was
we
it
haven't picked
Cuckoo?
out. The Substance.
Oh, well,
already
we knew
Kind
that.
of
Yeah.
did that.
Well,
Yeah.
hey, there might be new people that are coming this episode that haven't heard our long ass balls deep conversation
That's it.
about The Substance.
So that is definitely in my top movies. I think it would probably be Terrifier 3, The Substance, and trying to think of what my third most favorite, Smile 2. So I think that's my top 3. But The Substance, I mean, it is just chef's kiss. Like everything from the filming, the acting, the plot, it was just weird. It was great. I mean, what more can you say? It was just one of those where you definitely need to check this out and put it on your list if you haven't watched it yet.
Do we need a synopsis break? You ready? Liza Sparkle, renowned for her an aerobics show, faces a devastating blow on her 50th birthday as her boss fires her. Amid distress, a laboratory offers her a substance which promises to transform her into an enhanced version of herself.
One thing I want to add that we actually didn't talk about in our first episode was they never really, because the whole time I was trying to figure out if this is a different person. We talked about that, Whitney. Like, is this a different person? And like, no, this is just what you said, a perfect version of herself. This was never a new person. It's just a version. Like, we all go through versions of who we want to be, who we are. So I, going back to that, I like that part.
Yeah, it was interesting because like I'm going into the movie thinking like, okay, she's gonna get a perfect version of herself. I'm thinking it's gonna be a younger, more perfect person, of herself.
Like a copycat of herself.
Like, yeah, and when it didn't look like her, I was like, oh, okay, well, that makes more sense now because like if you see the nurse that actually slips the note in her I guess, her jacket pocket when she was in the hospital after a car accident. And then you see the same guy that's in the cafe when she's getting coffee. You're like, oh, well, that makes more sense now. They're not supposed to mimic their younger self. It's just the more perfect version of what they are seeing as themselves. Like that's what she would see as her being her perfect self. And I guess, it's cool to see like how that played out and everything. But I mean, that film was just 10 out of 10. Like I'd watch it again if I had the, chance to. So.
I think the conceit of the film is that it's telling you that it's going to give you a perfect version of yourself. And so the conceit of it is that it gives you that this perfect version of yourself plays exactly into what's wrong with everything that goes on in the film. So it's not a perfect version of yourself. It's just a younger, more supple,
conceited version of yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's just, and all it does is serve to corrode.
It wasn't in her heart. It was all
right.
Exterior.
It was exactly. And that's exactly what exactly feeds right into the Hollywood aspect of the film. I thought that was really very well thought out.
Well, it goes into the whole body dysmorphia thing too. You want yourself to be a perfect person. So you do these things like liposuction and all these other things to make yourself the perfect person. Are you still perfect?
No,
Nah.
It's unattainable.
Yeah.
You can't be perfect.
Yeah.
But it's more of a psychological thing.
And that's why she started having consequences, because she wanted to be that perfect person, and she kept on taking and taking and taking until like there's nothing left to take. And then, she wanted to kill her perfect self or vice versa. And like, it was just a cycle that was just insane.
She finally got it. But then it's too late.
Mhm.
Yep, way too
So,
late.
I mean,
the movie was beautiful.
yeah. It is.
I mean, we haven't seen
Cinematography.
Nosferatu yet, so we can't say that it was the most beautiful movie of the year because I've heard some things. But right now, it's the most beautiful movie of the year.
It's in my top 5, but not my top 3. But I would watch it again.
I'd say it's in my top 3.
My top 3 are The Substance, Devil's Bath, which was at the beginning of the year on Netflix.
We haven't
Yeah, we
seen that one
definitely
yet.
need to watch that one.
It was incredible. 10 out of 10 for me. Substance was 10 out of 10. And Terrifier 3, definitely.
Well, we're going to take a break between our recaps. And we'll watch some movies between our recaps and dive into
there'll
that.
be definitely a part 2, so stay tuned for that.
But still, Substance,
Yeah.
beautiful.
And then we can go into next episode. We're going to go into our least favorite horror movies as well.
You
There's
guys are
a
dying to know.
bunch of
What I
those
hate.
movies that we just could not. I mean, it's just one of those, the list that just is crazy.
I'm just going to say the movie that I hate, the copyright expired. That was what the movie was about.
Oh, Winnie the Pooh?
Nope, the other one.
Oh, the Mousetrap.
Man, Mousetrap. That will, yeah. We'll
No.
save that for a later episode, but
We have a lot. I have a long list of movies that I've seen this year. I'm actually kind of proud of myself. I'm proud of us
yeah.
for seeing so many horror movies this year.
Yeah, we just have to watch a lot of more of the
Like,
same ones.
How many
so we can
movies do you
talk
think
about it.
we've seen for 2024?
Movies or horror movies?
Just horror movies in general.
40?
Yeah. I feel like we need to up our list, but at the same time, it's good to be able to chime in on our favorites and what we've seen as a group.
I want to hit 100 this year. That's my
I feel
goal.
like our goal is to,
And that's just
is
horror.
to do more horror.
I like going back to the favorites too. So I'm guilty of that. It's like I should watch more new, like Exuma. We haven't seen that Asian film. That
We
came
still
out
need to
on
watch
Netflix.
Heretic.
That
Yes.
too.
I
we should
feel
watch that
like-
together.
We should.
I feel like that movie is one that I've heard is very beautiful
I've
too.
heard it.
Oddity was really beautiful.
Eh.
You
Yeah.
should definitely watch Oddity.
Yeah.
Did you watch it?
Did
you watch it?
Yes.
I don't
watched
remember
it.
exactly.
The most beautiful thing about it was where it was filmed because they're like Irish, Scottish,
Somewhere.
one of those, and the house that they were in was beautiful. It was all that stone brickwork, and I love that. That
It was
exposed
creepy.
brick.
Oh, Oddity
was-
was the one where the doll thing,
The
right?
girl could touch things and see see things.
Because she had that
Right.
weird shop of like,
And she's
oddities.
there to find out what happened to her sister.
The coolest thing about that movie was that like wood statue.
yeah.
thing.
Thing is
You know what it
creepy as
reminded me
hell.
of? That sci-fi show. What was it? Zero Dark. Is that what Zero Dark?
Oh, Channel Zero.
Channel Zero.
Yeah.
I was thinking of that other movie.
Yeah,
That action
yeah.
movie.
It did.
The teeth one.
Love
Yes,
Channel
the
Zero.
teeth guy, for
Mhm.
sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And that's why I wanted to watch it, but I was bored with it, honestly.
Fair.
I feel like it was either Long Legs or Oddity, not the Oddity. And I don't know. I liked Long Legs more, but I don't know. I wasn't fond of both of them, to be honest.
Yeah, Oddity was one of the ones where I honestly forgot about. Like, I knew that we probably watched it, but I mean, it was filmed really nicely and I can appreciate it for that. But would I watch it again? Probably not. So
I guess that's an honorable mention for this episode.
Yeah.
Got any other honorable mentions for this episode that you saw? That aren't on your top list.
Yeah.
Awkward silence.
Like
Sydney.
films we saw that we really liked.
yeah,
that
just
you didn't
ones
really
that
like.
Arcadian.
Oh,
That you semi-liked that didn't make it into your top.
That's the one with
couple.
Nick
no,
Cage,
Arcadian
right?
was really good.
Okay.
So
Didn't
sorry.
like
Didn't like
Cuckoo.
Infested.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
Inf-
Cuckoo.
well, Cuckoo wasn't a terrible film.
Wasn't
Infested,
terrible.
I thought, was a terrible film.
See, that's the one that I wanted to watch because I heard that it was like super scary.
But it had some titles.
Subtitles.
Well, we
It's pretty much in English.
we have tarantulas, so we know spiders, and
Wait, are you
it
talking
just
about Infested or Cuckoo?
infested.
Oh.
And spider movies just don't scare us. No, I like them if they're over the top and like they have, they're aware that they're, ridiculous and they have fun, like Eight-Legged Freaks and Arachnophobia.
But this wasn't even that. This was
both
just
of those
terrible.
Yes,
Infested
exactly.
was just terrible.
It was.
I didn't even get through half of it before I was like, I didn't even fall asleep. I purposely chose to get up and leave
A quarter of the way through, my son tapped. No. You tapped out.
about halfway.
Halfway through, my
he made
son
it
tapped
three
out.
quarters. You
I
made
watched
it
the
full.
entire thing and wished I had tapped out. So it was not. Yeah, I mean, it just no,
Listen,
Not
since
for
we're doing this, I'm not going to leave you guys hanging.
not for me.
Worst movie I've ever seen.
But Cuckoo
Not good.
is great. Dan Stevens
Cliffhanger.
from Abigail is in it, but he's a great actor. Love that. I love that guy. He's really good actor. But I mean,
Hunter Schafer was great. And we've talked about a lot of Euphoria characters this episode,
We
which I
have.
love. Hunter Schafer was great. Other than that, you see all of the scary stuff in the
In the
trailer.
trailer.
And I'm not giving anything away because
That's what
they
I've heard,
already
yeah.
did.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. That's
and
why I
then
haven't
not
wanted
only
to
that,
watch
but
it.
the story is just kind of stupid.
I've heard the acting in it is great. Like the performances are, but
I feel like I want to watch it just to watch it.
You
but-
should.
You
Yeah.
should see it.
You should.
Absolutely. Although I will say Vivarium did it better. And
Well,
that's all I'm going to say.
that's what we need to do this year. Is we need to watch movies that like just to watch them. They've came out. We
Yeah.
need to watch them.
Yeah. There's a lot out there.
Horror movies,
He's got a collection.
but we don't need rom-coms. They can go.
They
Get
can
outta here.
go.
They can get out of here.
So
All right,
your worst
listen.
movie.
Jason made me leave him on a cliffhanger again. Second cliffhanger this episode. The Mousetrap. Absolutely fucking terrible.
Yeah, I mean everything from the acting, the plot, like I normally don't ever fall asleep during movies at all. I was out probably within the middle of the movie. I don't even know how I lasted.
long you made it,
I
yeah.
don't even know why I
Yo,
lasted that long.
Your
but like,
boy stayed awake.
I can
Regrettably
normally,
so.
like I wouldn't say I loved this movie at all, definitely not, but I love to give a movie a chance because, everyone has their own opinions on movies and stuff, so I wanted to give it a chance. And the acting was just terrible. The plot was stupid. Like it was just a dumbass movie.
It gave me very Backrooms vibes, which is another video game, like The Backrooms, where you're like in there's a couple backrooms, but there's one where you're in like a Chuck E. Cheese-esque like Discovery Zone kind of place,
Sort of like Five Nights at Freddy's.
Yeah, like that. But it was like imagine Scream being in one of those places done terribly. And that's what it was. Because, I mean, little backstory, Steamboat Willie lost its copyright. And then
Because it's so old, right? Like it's just it's public domain now.
Yeah, copyrights expire after a while, and their copyright expired. So the same with Winnie the Pooh. That's why the Winnie the Pooh movies were made, and you can't get sued for them because their original copyright expired.
Yeah, they're public domain.
Yeah, so
I have not heard good things about this film, so I just don't have any desire to check it out.
I wanted to like it so bad, but just from the get go, like it was just trash. Like the Mickey Mouse, like the Steamboat Willie head was in like a glass like curio case, like in his like showing room.
Mhm.
That was just like a seat and like one of those old film reels where it shows it on like a projector screen.
Yeah.
And then the mask just started talking to him. I was like, what? What's going on? But it was like talking to him in his head. Like the mouth wasn't moving on the mask. It was just like the mask supernaturally talking to him. And I was like, this is stupid. But I had to watch it.
You think it was supposed to be stupid?
No.
Well, then that sucks.
No, yeah. And there was one part where they go to wipe blood off one of the knives in the movie, and there's no blood on the knife. They wiped nothing off the knife. And it used those like those very stereotypical sounds to like, in Scream where they pull out the knife. Shing!
Yeah.
Yeah. And they wipe it off.
Yeah.
It's just the acting was just terrible. Like, I mean, I can appreciate a movie. Like, obviously, like in Terrifier, the acting wasn't all there, but I think that was the coolness of the movie. Like, I feel like it made the movie, but this Mousetrap was just god awful.
It wasn't A-rated or B-rated. It was straight up C-rated.
Yeah.
It was an
for
F-rated
see you
for
never.
failure.
But we don't need a Mickey Mouse horror icon.
It's
Mickey
not
Mouse
an icon.
he's already an icon.
He's already an icon.
We don't
Yeah,
need him
what
to
do
come into the horror realm. We don't. Did we need more clowns? Yeah. Sure. We did. All right. Well, that's
I think
That's a
that
wrap.
about
That's a wrap.
wraps up this episode. For episode 2, we digged deep into
half of our movies.
half of our movie list of things that we've seen collectively together.
We all have homework.
We have a lot of movie watching. There's more to come. I think in the second episode, we're going to discuss more of some movies that we haven't seen yet, and Nosferatu too. So
We definitely need to do The Heretic for next episode and Nosferatu.
Yep.
So
we'll have some more. You can tune in on, I think we're going to be doing some
changes to our schedule maybe. Might upload Wednesdays, might do Fridays. Things are just weird.
if you
Especially
Life.
around the holidays.
Life.
I would just keep in track with our socials. We're on Apple Music, Spotify.
Instagram.
We have a TikTok as well
And
that
a
we're going to
Facebook.
be starting up. So definitely tune into those for updates.
We should
on
make
our
a MySpace.
schedule. MySpace?
Just kidding.
But definitely check into those as we make our announcements. And I'm just super proud of us for, getting this far. And I'm excited to see what more of this will become.
There won't be as long of breaks in between these episodes. I know Jason likes to keep us on cliffhangers over here. But
Yeah, that's me.
there won't be any. Don't quote me on this. There won't be any more longer breaks. We're going to be consistent with this. We need to be consistent. I think we got this.
Yeah.
So that ends this episode. And like I said, tune in for our part 2 in our 2024 recap. And we'll dive deeper into some more movies. And we'll also talk about some of the upcoming 2025 movies that we're excited to see and hear about. And I'm excited to talk about all that.
Maybe some shows too.
Yeah, I think we can
2024
go into
shows.
some 2024 recaps of some shows that we've seen too. So
Anyway.
definitely tune in for that.
Anyway, follow us on socials at Horror Speaks Podcast. On
Smash
most-
that like button.
Smash that like button 2025 style.
Follow.
Follow us on everything. And if you like this episode, make sure to leave a review on Apple Podcast, Spotify, and iHeart. It really helps us out, pushes us into the algorithm.
Until then, stay spooky, my friends.
Bye.
Bye.
Later.